This hour is brought to you by Jeremy Temple Law Office of Bloomington. Personal injury, criminal, business, whatever you need, Jeremy Temple Law Office will get you taken care of.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Coyle Larry here on this Tuesday, January 7th. Happy birthday, Dad. Hope everybody's having a great day. A lot of birthdays today, man.
That's your dad's birthday you were working in? Is that what you said?
Yep. Happy birthday, Dad.
Nice.
81 of them.
Wow.
He's up there.
Didn't you say your brother got a birthday this week, too?
He's in 2 days from now. Is that the same day as your son's, right?
It is. William Leary.
This is the
big 1-7.
My sister's birthday's this month. My niece's birthday's this month. Yeah, it's a heavy month.
Nice to get them all out of the way. That's good.
Yeah, and then then you'd think they give me February by myself. Yeah, no, not so much. Right on Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
What day is that?
February 12th.
12th?
Yeah, I'm like, come on, can't you give me a day that does something? How about Abraham Lincoln? Which is nice to be born on the same day of Abraham Lincoln. That's incredible. But, I think he's going to get most
close
of the
to
attention.
the same year, too.
Yeah. Ironically, 100 years past his death, he died in 1865.
Wow.
So, very ironic. A lot of ironies.
A lot of ironies today.
A lot of ironies today. Lots of ironies today. One that was not ironic was last night, Indiana women's basketball. Man, they just put a flat whipping on the Illini. 83-42, Todd. The women are just what you call for real. They're the only Big Ten team that's undefeated at 3-0 as they sit at the top of the standings.
Yeah, and like you said, that's a whipping right there. I mean, it's hard to win games by 20 points. I think I've said to you before. I mean, you're 15 points behind in a game. It just feels like you're not even competitive, not even in it. So 40 is just like you're not even in the same league, which is pretty close.
Tim texts in about the women, says the IU women were fun to watch last night. They had several no-look passes because they know where each other are on the floor at all times. Fun to watch them hit from outside, from threes, and inside. Beat Illinois by 41. Maybe the men should go watch the women's game and see how the team plays. They certainly played one thing, and what he said, team basketball. Man, they hit free throws. Allie Patberg was nuts last night, Todd. She was 7 of 8. She hit all 4 of her shots behind the arc. She was on fire, 19 points.
Yep, and they needed that. I mean, we talked about their struggles shooting at home again that UCLA game, and they've bounced back nicely. Which is exactly what you want to see. I mean, you love seeing your team, come back from some adversity, and you'd love to not have the adversity, but when you do, and you're going to every season, it's nice to see them bounce back. And they have had couple good shooting performances since they struggled on that night a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
last night was certainly not one of them, man.
Nope.
They were lighting it up. I don't have their stats in front of me, but like I said, Allie Patberg, wow, she was just on fire. She hit all 4, and one of those was a kind of a last-second shot clock running down, put it up from deep. But I just watched them at the free throw line again, and they're so damn consistent, it's sickening. They are just consistent at the free throw line. Confident and I guess mechanically sound, but the confidence, how much is the confidence? How much is the mechanics?
I mean, everybody shoots it different, so you can't say the mechanics are the most important thing. However, I mean, you just got to have some fundamental things that you do, consistently. And if you shoot it the same way every time, that's kind of the key. I mean, you can get good at anything if you practice it enough and do it the same way every time. But consistency just becomes. I mean, that's when once you get it down. You could pretty much teach anybody to be a 65 to 70% free throw shooter.
Can you work with Joey Brunk?
Yeah, I could.
I think he could use the help.
He could. He's got some, he's just
He's a battler, but he's one of those big guys.
Guys get in their own head and come up with, what his free throws like Charles Barkley's golf swing. I mean, there's just no way you could ever be consistent and good at it when you've got a shot and a hitch in the middle of your shot like he does.
It looks like every time it goes up, there's a hope and a prayer leaving his fingertips with him.
It really does. Like he's not confident in it at all, and it's obvious. It shows. The guys who want to get fouled and get to the free throw line. And the guys who, when they get fouled, it's the first thing they start thinking about is, oh crap.
Tebow texts in, says Archie Miller says his team's problems are not shooting, it's passing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the point in that comment is wrong, guys are not getting themselves into the shooting areas. Like when there's a drive and a kick, guys are not moving into the easy pass in the open spot. Guys are having to throw passes either like over a defender or at a weird angle where the pass isn't coming to them, and catching it kind of in the shooting pocket and catching it, where it's easy to get it up and shoot it. And I think that's probably, without elaborating on it any more than that, I would say that's probably what he's discussing more than just saying we're a bad passing team. I think he's referring to we would shoot the ball better if we were catching it in the right spots and catching good passes.
Right on. And, of course, there's that alternative feature called a bench for these guys that I keep harping on that aren't doing that. But that seems, we don't know why that's not an option. I think it should be. I think if not for a second, just to make that I think it would just take a minute. The just action of it, of being put on the bench or not starting or whatever the case may be, get someone's attention, whatever it takes.
Yeah, you're not going to have, now that we're at this point in the season, you're not going to have too many opportunities to do that, where you don't kind of feel like you're jeopardizing your chances to win. I've always been under the understanding that every possession is so important, and if you've got your best player sitting on the bench because you're trying to prove a point to them, then maybe you're not giving yourself the best opportunity to win. But that's also a catch-22, because if guys don't ever fear coming out of the game,
and if your best player is not doing the things that he needs to do to help the team win, then you're also jeopardizing your team's chance to win. So it's a catch-22 in that regard.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It is different coaches have, and I'm a person that believes in letting them make some mistakes and letting them play through them. I like I said yesterday, we're seeing some of the same mistakes that we saw back in November and early December that are things that they should have played through by now and corrected by now.
Yeah, and either so these lessons are not taking or it's something else, but. And then you've got the issue. There's a couple things, and we've talked about this. You've brought it up several times. Al Durham needs to step up, and it really got me to thinking is with the issues that Rob Finney's having. We don't know what's going on with him, but they don't have. And I'm not saying any of these guys ever were, but they don't have a guy that can just get to the rim. I know these guys think that they can, but they're not doing it with any frequency and getting fouled. And that's one thing. That's the only thing I guess Romeo brought to the table last year.
Right.
But you don't have that guy this year. And that's a guy that you want that can do both. That can step out and shoot, but also get to the rim too and draw some contact or some attention. Not really seeing that. I know that here and there Al will do that, or here and there Devontae will try to make a move, and here and there Rob will, but it's more the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. Romeo, if you want to name the quality that Romeo had, that he was probably one of the best that's ever played at Indiana University was getting to the rim and finishing at the rim. Like, he was an exceptional finisher.
Better than Isaiah?
I think it's totally different. Isaiah was crafty, more like Cassius Winston I mean, Romeo could explode to the rim, and he could finish. I mean, he could hang in the air. He was kind of sneaky athletic, where he could hang around the rim, and he was really good at finishing around the rim and little shots 3 or 4 feet away that were almost like finger rolls from not right around the rim, but 3 feet away. I mean, he was just good at that kind of thing. I think the thing that people thought about him that I'm not really sure how he got the reputation was that he was a really, really good shooter, because I don't think he was a really, really good 3-point shooter. I mean, he was, and I don't think he ever was. I don't think he was in high school. I think he was just allowed to shoot whenever he wanted to, and he would chuck up 4 shots from 27 feet in a high school game, and if you make one of them, everybody remembers that one. And he was an adequate 3-point shooter, but I would not at all have classified him as a good outside shooter. But he was an exceptional finisher when it got to the rim, and so that that kind of put him in a different class than a lot of people when it comes to that. But it's funny because when you look at him, Victor Oladipo. I mean, think about this. In Victor Oladipo's second year at Indiana, didn't he leave after 3? Didn't he stay 3 years and leave?
Yes.
In his second year at Indiana, he shot 20% from the 3-point line. And we have several guys on our team who we can put in that category right now. And his senior year, he shot 40% from the 3-point line.
Remarkable.
And it is, but he's that finisher you're talking about. He's that guy at the rim. Like, he could get to the rim and he can finish with some nasty.
He can do whatever he wants.
Right, but he wasn't a good shooter. He became a good shooter. He became an exceptional shooter, but he wasn't a good shooter when he got there. Another guy I use as an example is Yogi Ferrell. Yogi Ferrell was not a good shooter at all from the 3-point line when he got to Indiana. But he worked his way into it and became a good one.
But they don't have that guy that has become that yet. So my point is...
but the guys that we're talking about are still fairly early on in their careers.
I understand, but the point being, still, Indiana does not have that guy, and it's a piece, it's a weapon that's missing. They don't have that guy.
I'm with you. I think that they have. I think that they.
But we thought we were going to. We thought that. I mean, I think a lot of people thought Devontae was going to be that guy, and it's not worked out that way yet. I mean,
Devontae is.
It's
Devontae
okay,
is
but
doing what Devontae is good at. I mean, Devontae's playing to his strengths right now. I mean, he's shooting close to 40%, and that's about what you can. That's about what we can ask for out of him, don't you think?
I mean, I don't think Devontae is in this day and age. Absolutely, I
don't think Devontae is playing, under his ability level. I think he's playing right at about the expectations of what they would want. Now,
people are never going to get past the way he plays. I think that there's just always going to be a group of fans that they're just not going to be Devontae fan in the fan club because of how he plays. He's going to have nights where he scores 22 points, and he's going to have nights where he scores 8 points probably because of how he can go about things, sometimes not taking the smartest shot, sometimes making some mistakes that you really wish he didn't.
Here's where here's why that stands out a lot of times is because when you're relying on him so much as a scorer, because he's really the only guy that's proven consistently to be able to shoot the ball from the outside, when he doesn't shoot well, it really stands out. I mean, it's pretty obvious because the whole team's statistics end up being terrible. And, this team needs to have, when they have a couple other guys step up, I'll go back about it again to the beginning of the season. Do you remember the start of the season Al Durham had? I mean, Al Durham starting the season this year. Hang on, let me look it up real quick.
And another thing is this leadership thing we're looking at. Now, nobody's stepping up, and I'm so tired of hearing people say, "Well, I lead by example." That's a bunch of crap. All that is somebody doing their job. Is all that is, leading by example. That's just somebody doing their job.
Yeah, it is, but it's also leading by playing hard and
I get
being
that,
in
but
position.
I get that, but you still have to have a leader, and there is no clear leader on this team.
But the same person, it doesn't have to be the same person. Like the same person that is a leader.
No, but that person doesn't exist again. So since it's not theirs, that's the issue. They don't have it. It's not there, and in it, there's no way that it doesn't hurt this team as well. You got too many Chiefs, I think, and not enough Indians. if that's not politically incorrect to say, but didn't mean to be if it was. But
yeah, but I mean, I it's not even agree or disagree with what you're saying. I mean, I think that they're searching for that guy that's going to step up. I think we all assumed it was going to be Rob Phinisee. I mean, based on how well he played as a freshman, I think we all just kind of assumed Rob Phinisee would be the guy that, kind of stood up and was, he and Al Durham would kind of be 1A and 1B, vocal leaders of this team.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I thought it was going to be Rob Phinisee and Devontae Green, because I remember sitting in the locker room after the NIT game last year, talking to Devontae Green, asking him about him being the guy stepping up now, because, you're losing Juwan Morgan. You're losing those guys. Are you going to be the guy that steps up and lead? Or is that something that you want to be the leader of this team? And he was adamant. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready to do that and accept that role. And he hasn't. Not at least not from my vantage point.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with you on that. I mean, I don't really know that that's his. That's not. It didn't. I don't think that comes that natural to him. I mean, I think he's a little bit more of a. He's just a scoring guard. I mean, that's what he is. I mean, that's what he's good at.
This team is missing. It does not have the alpha dog.
But look, to start the season out, very first game of the year against Western Illinois, Al Durham goes 7 for 7 from the field, 3 for 3 from the 3-point line, 4 for 4 from the free throw line. I mean,
yeah, I'm talking about leadership.
The second game of the year, he goes 7 of 11 from the field.
Yeah, we're talking about two different things.
Well,
I'm not talking about anything to do with on court.
If Al Durham were scoring points right now, you would be considering him one of the leaders of the team.
Yeah, nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual leadership skills, nothing to do with statistics.
Define leadership then. I mean, if you're going to go down that road with it, define
the guy that gathers the team, the guy that pays attention to what's going on, what situation they're in, who's on the floor, things like that. You've talked about that guy that says, "Hey, man, this guy's got one foul or whatever." That guy does not exist on this team right now, and I thought it was going to be one of these upperclassmen, and it hasn't been. And Al Durham and Devontae Green are probably the two that stand out most that I expected it from. But we're just not really getting that. And then with Rob Phinisee's, I don't want to say disappearance, but unknown as to what's going on with him, it's kind of added to that and made it, I think it's exacerbated it a little bit and made it seem worse, look worse, and actually be worse in some degree.
I agree with everything you said. I mean, I think we have said that, for a month now, and that's kind of been a thing of this team. We've been asking what's going on with Rob Phinisee, assuming that there's something, whether it's a confidence level or some issue that we don't know about. We don't know about any injuries right now. We don't know. Everybody seems to be healthy and playing, so we don't know what their issues are. I agree with you. I mean, I'm not.
We're supposed to be in a break. Jake didn't tell us.
Well, let's do it.
What's that, Jake?
Yeah, no,
well, that's kind of what your job is.
Beautiful conversation.
Your job is to interrupt the conversation to tell us to go to break. We got to go to break. Hey, you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Tuesday. We got plenty more coming back. Chronic Hoosiers on the show today, and we've got plenty more to talk about. Back with more right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
This segment is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Thing that we really have got to take to the next level is our intensity level. We've got to get certain guys raising their level in January right now that are playing harder for longer stretches, and guys are coming in the game not just trying to hang in there and hang in the game to play. They got to be ready and attacking and playing, the right way. And we got to get a harder, more physical playing team right now, especially defensively, making more happen. We're not active enough. There's not enough turnover plays. There's not enough defense to offense happening, for our team and how we try to play. Offensively, there's not enough assists. I think our big guys do a really good job of commanding the ball. We're trying to get in there as much as possible. Sometimes teams are selling out. They're throwing the kitchen sink down there. Don't let it in. Don't let them. Well, our bigs will do a good job getting it out. I think our perimeter guys have to now recognize how teams are starting to play. They got to be ready to shoot off inside-out catches. They have to be ready to pass the ball when a team collapses the defense, and then that guy's got to be ready to shoot. We're not getting enough rhythm, good looks in the course of a game. We're over-dribbling. We're taking tough twos. Sometimes we're passing up a good one to just put it down, and I think part of that is, you have to be ready, attack, and guys got to understand those are the ones you're going to make. You're not going to make the ones at the end of the clock off the bounce all the time. You're going to make the one 4 passes earlier when you could have made that right read when there was a guy sitting there with his hands ready and just didn't deliver it. So we got to get.
That's Archie. That's Indiana head coach Archie Miller talking about a myriad of things on his coach's show last night, Todd Leary. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary, Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. There's a whole lot going on, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's – how do you give a broad general area of they were trying to talk, I think, in that coach's show about, their issues and why they struggled at Maryland. And there's a myriad of reasons, a grocery list of things that they wanted to work on and improve on. And I think, I think a part of that is, okay, so I mentioned Devontae as a scoring guard. Okay, I mean, I'm going to say maybe possibly Al played scoring guard, but I bet he was more of a slashing scoring guard in high school. I bet he wasn't more of an outside shooting guard because I think he's improved his shooting since he got to Indiana. But everybody else, I bet Armand had the ball in his hands a lot. I know Rob Finnessy had the ball in his hands a lot, playing more that point guard position. I mean, we don't really have that many shoot first-minded guys. And so it's different. I mean, you've got to get yourself to the open areas. You got to know a lot of our guys are used to being the guy driving and kicking it instead of being the guy that's getting kicked too. And it's a different role. It's a different mindset.
You guys are doing a great job hitting us up on the text line. Keep it up, 812-269-6367. Also, share the show wherever you find it. If you're not listening to it on radio and you're listening to it like a podcast or something like that, share that out. Like us on Facebook, any of that, if you would. Reviews, that all helps. We appreciate you. Dr. J, and I'm going to read one of his texts from yesterday. It came in toward the end and missed that, but because it kind of goes with what we were talking about. The first one is that I don't understand how Rob Finney seemed like more of a leader as a freshman. Someone needs to grow up here and take charge of our team. And then today it says, I'm going to say it, typical millennial crap. If you don't tell them exactly what you want, they can be bothered to think for them. Can't be bothered to think for themselves. None of them wants that boss role.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say part of that's true, but I agree with part of that, and part of it I don't agree with. I mean, it's just.
Well, before you disagree with it, let's remind you, if you're in Southern Indiana, make sure you go see Dr. J at Reynolds Family Dentistry. We appreciate them. One of our great sponsors, has been from the beginning. Love them. Sellersburg on Indiana Avenue. Go see them.
They're legit. They're the best.
You got that right. Now, back to what you were disagreeing with.
I mean, it's just, there's just a part of, fans, when they start to get frustrated, they start to get, I think they lose focus of what it is they're trying to say a lot of times and just try to say something mean and nasty. And, they always try to think, or not always, but they, fans get frustrated. I get that. I get frustrated. It's just what we do. I mean, we expect a lot out of this team, and when the frustration really starts to build and get aggressive, when we feel like the effort on the floor, I think some guys are trying and playing hard. I don't think they're playing as hard as what we expect them to play at, and that gap is frustrating, and that's why I think fans feel like they have the right to say somebody sucks or somebody doesn't play hard or somebody does whatever. I mean, I just think they get more aggressive with it than they would be if it was their son or relative. But I mean, I'm fine with a statement like that. Like, I agree. Rob played better as a freshman. Can you argue with that statement? No. It used to happen all the time. I mean, how many guys were there that came to Indiana or went to any big school across the country and they played better their freshman year than they did their sophomore year? That's not insanely unusual. I don't think there's ever really been a great reason for why it's the case. It's just you kind of plateau out. And the expectation level is lower when you're a freshman.
Yeah, well, they're going to plateau up. If their season's going to continue to head.
You are Nancy negative today, aren't you?
No, I'm just saying a fact. Their season's going to have to plateau upwards if they're going to have success. That's just a fact. I'm not negative, positive either way. It's just an issue that is of truth. For them to have success this year, that's going to have to continue to move forward, and we know that this is going to be a tough season because of how the parity. Man, we've already seen it. We've seen teams lose that we would not have thought would have been possible to lose at home. We did not think that it was possible for Ohio State to lose to Wisconsin at home.
It's the only team that's been in the Big Ten so far that's been favored to win a game at home that got beat.
Yeah, so it's crazy, and we'll see that continue. We'll see how it goes. I mean, Michigan State kind of looks like they're gelling as a team, but there's a lot of season left yet. Yeah. A lot of places you got to go. A lot of potholes, man. A lot of trips to places like Ohio State, like Michigan, like Indiana. Doesn't matter where. It's just
and they're good. They're a good makeup. They're well coached. We all know that. And they've got a great point guard. Like, you don't say that about very many point guards. This guy, from a college basketball perspective, he's really, really good. But beyond that, I mean, they struggle shooting. They're a team that doesn't shoot the ball all that well. They could very easily have some struggles on the road. I mean, they've got Minnesota at home this week, and then this weekend they're at Purdue. I mean, I know Purdue hasn't played that well to start the Big Ten season out, but that won't be an easy one.
That was ugly against Illinois, man. That's
they
ugly.
looked awful. They looked awful.
Ryan from Michigan likes the statements made by Coach Miller with Don Fisher yesterday. The Joker, he's finally got up. Let's see. Don't know what's been discussed till now, but these men's teams need to start sitting into the ladies' basketball practices from some basketball 101. Yep. I don't know about that.
I mean, people that say that are just trying to throw a jab at the two games. It's like comparing.
It's not. Well, of course, it's not literal. So
it's like comparing the NBA to college basketball. I mean, women's basketball and men's basketball are not comparable. They're not the same. And so it's just
the ladies
people
team,
are saying that they're just trying.
The ladies team togetherness. Well, of course, but that's what you do. That's when you throw jabs. The ladies team togetherness reminds me of the football team. Well, there's something for that, and there's something for the success that has come from that. And it's not as much as, Tom Allen with the LEO, love each other. It's not gone that far, but they do seem like they are playing as one unit, the women's basketball team. That's the one thing you can give them. They seem to be playing as a unit. They seem to be playing for each other and with each other.
Okay, so then what happened against UCLA?
They didn't shoot the ball very well. They didn't shoot the ball.
So this is my point with Indiana fans. Whenever somebody else does it, there's an excuse. Like there's a reason why they didn't do it, and you just disregard it. Like, oh, they just didn't shoot that well. But besides that, they played really good. But then when it's the men's team, when it's the most important team and the men's team, then everybody wants to say, oh, my gosh, it's the coaching. And, oh, my gosh, they got no leadership. And they got nobody that can shoot. They got nobody that plays defense and nobody that plays hard. And you got 75 different things that you got a problem with. But when the women's team, who everyone says gels together and plays well together and all that, when they lose a game, you just go, oh, they didn't shoot good. And you're just like, that's BS. I mean, that's not true. Like that game, they didn't play well together. We all think they play well together. Yes, we all are in agreement. Like in women's basketball, they are playing really, really well together. I don't think any of us would argue with that. But that has zero to do with the men's team. And I don't understand.
So you're saying the men's team is playing well together?
I did not say that.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just. So what are you saying in regards to the men's team?
I'm saying that the men's team has a lot of improvement and a lot of things that they need to get better at and work on. I don't disagree with any of that. I think that their potential, their ceiling and how good they can be is a lot higher than what some people like you think that can be.
I'm reading text. Stop getting me confused with text that I read. First of all, I'm reading text messages here, so stay on the subject there, big boy. Frustration comes from seeing those flashes of talent not growing. Another text into the show.
Okay. I mean, is Trace Jackson Davis growing?
Okay, so you got 1 out of 12.
Okay. Joey Brunt growing? Is Joey Brunt playing better now
than he did at Butler? Not according to you.
Is he playing better than he did at Butler?
I don't know. Is he? I don't know. It's not for me to judge. If we were going by, I think, judging by what I've heard, it's not been a great abundance of production, but this is a team that is in kind of more dire need than most. So,
yeah, you
could disagree with the fans. I'm just saying this is what they're saying. These are texts coming into the show, and then you've got the other one. Why IU fans are trying to find anything to motivate this team to play and shoot better, even if it's as comical as Miller asking Bob Knight for advice.
That whole thing that guy wrote yesterday was just idiotic and stupid. Like that.
I didn't read it, but
it's stupid. It is. I mean, that was some guy trying to be funny. That's all that is. It was some guy trying to be funny because it didn't make any sense, and it's not how that conversation would have gone. And that person does not know Bob Knight at all. That's all I'm telling you, because he acted like he was playing the part of what Bob Knight would say in certain scenarios, and he wasn't even close.
Well, I agree with you there. I like I said, I didn't see it, I didn't read it, but what is something that should be said to these players, or is there anything that should be said? Or is it just let them play, let them continue to move forward? What's the secret sauce?
I think that they are working. They will continue to work on things that makes them. I think Archie Miller feels like they're best offensively when they're pushing the ball down the floor and trying to take advantage of the other teams before they get set up on defense. I would say he thinks that our offense is better off, not shooting the ball in the last 4 seconds of the shot clock. And so I think that's something that they're working on. They're trying to get the ball down faster. They're trying to get a post touch early in the offense.
When is it okay to shoot early in the shot clock for this team?
I will say with their struggles and what they have going on right now, I would say the very first open look that they get, I don't care if it's off of one pass, the first open look that they get that's not contested is the shot that should be taken.
And I know this may be difficult, but you need to at least make sure you got some guys in place that can potentially rebound instead of just chucking it up.
But the way they run the floor, Indiana runs the floor pretty well. They get up and down. Their bigs are getting down the floor.
Well, it's not that they don't get up and down the floor. One thing I've noticed is when they get into their offensive set, the bigs are usually the first thing they do is they're up top.
Well, one of them is. Usually one of them's up top and one of them's down the post. And that's you've heard about that since you were a kid. What's the last person down the floor called?
Hello. Oh no,
the trailer. They're the trailer. That person's always the trailer coming down. Usually, a big guy takes it out of bounds, and he ends up being the trailer coming down the floor. Just in today's world, the difference is that trailer ends up being, a big guy that the ball gets reversed through. Indiana fans of old and from my day are not used to seeing a big guy handle the ball out there. But every single team does. Michigan State, who's 4-0 right now in the Big Ten, and we're all acting like that they're separating themselves. They're big guy. They have a trailer every single time down the floor that handles the ball and reverses the ball.
That's old school basketball there. You'd hear me yell, trailer.
Right. So there's always going to be one of those big guys up top. Now, when they get two big guys up top, no, that's not a part of their offense, and that's where those guys are making mental mistakes because that's not a part of their offense.
And it's not necessarily that their position is just I've just seen guys take shots even when they're not even just looking in the right direction. There's no chance on them getting a rebound, and I don't understand that unless that shot goes down, that's a 90% chance of it just basically being a turnover.
Well, I think shot selection has been an issue. It's been a contributor as to why they're, why they've not shot the percentage they want to shoot, and I think that that's something that they are cognizant of and aware of and trying to get better at. But I also don't think that there's anyone on this team that really has, a yellow light or a red light. I think whenever they're open and they get a shot that they're capable of making, they're allowed to shoot it, whether it's with 27 seconds left on the shot clock or 3 seconds left on the shot clock. I think that they're allowed to take those shots when they're open.
Jennifer agrees with you on the article. Bill says,
in that article, I don't think it was intended to be serious. I think he was trying to be silly and funny. And in that regard, you could take it as silly and funny. But the thing with a lot of Indiana fans is they're like, he should do that. He should go see Coach Knight. Coach Knight is from a health perspective, is not in any position whatsoever to be having a conversation like that. That's where you just want to ask that person, why would he be stoking that fire? Because it doesn't make any sense right now in today's world.
Bill says, Todd, I agree with you that this men's team can be a very good team. I don't think there's a problem with the coaching staff. It's just the team needs to figure out how to play together and play hard every second they're on the floor. The ladies' team is relentless. One of the ladies got a steal off an inbounds with 10 seconds to go in the game on an inbounds pass after an IU basket. Yes, I guess that's pointing out the no stop. Another text in from Tim. Magic Johnson, 6'9", LeBron James said to bring the ball down. I'm not sure what that means. Yeah, good idea. Let's take a break. Man,
boy,
Keep the text coming. We appreciate you. 812-269-6367. Plenty to talk about here. Indiana football, Indiana basketball, Indiana women's basketball. The AP Top 25. We've got to talk about that when we come back. New polls out as well. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. And we're back with more right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alumni, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Wow. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Boy, that sounded kind of serious and ominous, didn't it? Didn't know how to respond to that, Todd.
Did it? I didn't notice it.
Didn't notice?
Nope.
New AP Top 25 out. We'll talk about that in a minute. Roger wants to know, do you think Trace Jackson-Davis will need to develop a 15 to 17-foot jump shot for his progression as he improves his scoring ability, Todd?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't think it would hurt. He's going to be playing a lot. Like we just said, he's going to be catching the ball a lot in that trailer role. I mean, that'd be a nice little thing to add to your arsenal if he could add that consistently. But I mean, they're working so hard to get him the ball down in the post right now. I think maybe working in, a little fadeaway jump shot in the lane or some more post moves. I think he's pretty consistent with that one left-handed jump hook right now, and I wouldn't mind seeing him, add some other stuff. And it doesn't necessarily need to. Every time I think of a 15-foot or 17-foot jump shot, I think of it as a trailer, just past the free throw line in that area right there. I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing him be able to step out on the wing and pull those guys out a little bit. It would definitely – he'll develop at the next level. I can assure you of that.
The new AP Top 25 poll released late yesterday. Gonzaga, of course, at the top, as I expect they will be for quite some time. The only thing I can see them getting removed, the way I can see them getting knocked off, is if Duke or Kansas, who's right below them, just does something spectacular, like ends up playing a number 3 team. Just because Gonzaga is not going to get challenged. There's not a ranked team in that conference that they play in the rest of the season.
There's like their difficult games will be like at BYU and at St. Mary's.
Yeah.
I mean that's really the only. I mean, I think that's really the only teams that really can even challenge them. But
you're building towards a tournament.
They only won by 5 versus Pepperdine at home this weekend, which is surprising. But
has this held Gonzaga back in all these years? We've seen them be here at the top, but partly it's because of they play let's be honest, a much weaker schedule. They have some really, really good teams, but they've yet to win the national championship. Not sure does playing that weaker conference schedule help or hurt them as they go towards the NCAA tournament?
I mean, they sit in about as good a position as you can possibly get, because as long as they play well in the early part of the season, which, this year is a prime example for them. I mean, they lost to Michigan, but they've had a couple of other quality wins that kept them in the top 10. And then everybody else started knocking themselves off and getting everybody, beating each other. So they've ended up with losses, and Gonzaga always gets themselves somewhere up there in that top 4. Which, if you get in that top 4 towards the end of the season, you're going to get a number 1 seed, and at worst, a number 2 seed.
Yeah, and that's another thing. How fair is it that you got this team like that?
They are in as good like you can say, it's great that they, it's incredible that they've been made to the tournament 20 some years in a row or whatever it is. That is pretty incredible. There were some years when, they didn't have as great a team, and they still figure out a way to win their league. I think Mark Few does a great job at that level with that program. And I think that's the perfect fit for him. That's why he's never left there. I mean, he recruits the kids he wants to recruit, and they play hard. They play the way he wants them to play. And, he's been offered darn near every job in the country, and he's never leaving, and he always wants to stay there. So, but yes, it puts them playing that weak conference. If they can just play good in the early pre-conference schedule and get themselves in the top 10, they're always going to end up there in that top 5, which, yes, is going to get them a 1 or 2 seed, which 100% makes it an easier route.
Absolutely. As we look across here, there's a couple other things. Auburn finally up to number 5 at 13-0, but that's a reluctant number 5, Todd. They're just kind of they're it's attrition, or they're moving up when other teams get knocked off. Basically, not a lot of respect for this Auburn team yet. That although they stand at 13-0, obviously in another year, different. If this was a Gonzaga or Duke or Kansas or Baylor, obviously they'd all be number 1.
Well, they would be, but the reason why they're not is because they haven't played anybody. I mean, their schedule is, weaker than Indiana's schedule has been by far. So, their biggest win is against NC State. I mean, they beat Mississippi State, I guess, if you want to include Mississippi State in there. But, I mean, otherwise, they don't have a single win against anybody that – I mean, New Mexico's a decent win. Davidson's a decent win. But, I mean, that's their big wins. That's why they've been – But I mean, we'll find out soon enough. I mean, they play, Georgia this coming week. They play at Florida. It's not till later in the year when they play Kentucky twice in February, and that's when we'll find out. They play at Tennessee. So yeah, I mean, that'll shake itself out. I think they moved up 3 spots this week, and I think they moved up 3 or 4 spots the week before that. So just 2 weeks ago, they were undefeated, and they were still like 12th or 13th.
You got Butler number 6, the best spot that they've been in school history, which is amazing when you consider the run they had back in the early part of the 2010. And so with that team going to the national championship a couple times. But right now, 14-1, man, they're sitting in the number 6 spot.
Yeah, and they heck, you want to talk about teams that were real close to being able to make an argument of why they should be number 1. I mean, they lost a 1-point game to Baylor, which I know they were down big in that game and they made a great comeback, but they had a shot to win the game at the end. Otherwise, they would be undefeated, and they would, they do have a couple of quality wins. I mean, they beat Minnesota. They won at Missouri. They beat Stanford. They beat Ole Miss. They beat Florida. They beat Purdue. They beat St. John's. They beat Creighton. I mean, yeah, they deserve to be where they're at.
Then you start dropping down. You get into some more Big Ten teams. Michigan State, number 8. Oregon, Florida State. Florida State in the top 10, a team that Indiana has beaten. Then you got Ohio State, Maryland, Louisville, Kentucky. And there's Dayton, number 15, Villanova, West Virginia. Michigan, number 19. Penn State, number 20. And that's all of the I think there was another team sitting right outside of that. Maybe Iowa. I can't remember.
Wisconsin's right outside of it also.
And you got Illinois who's making a run too. So a lot of Big Ten teams, man, making some noise. You got a game tonight. If you want to get a shot at Indiana doesn't have a shot at Kentucky, but Tom Crean does tonight. 10 points out. Georgia takes on Kentucky. Can they follow up their big win over Memphis? How about that? They got them a big win over Memphis. Of course, Memphis without James Wiseman, but still they got a plethora of big-time recruits there. So that was, Tom Crean had one big-time recruit. Memphis had a table full of them.
Yeah, but I mean, Georgia's recruit is a top 5 NBA pick. I mean,
so they've got several of them.
The guys at Memphis will not be top 10 picks. They may be in a couple years, but the one top pick they have isn't playing anymore. And those other guys are good. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, like, Georgia's one player is way better than any of the guys that are still at Memphis. But I mean, that'll be a good one tonight. I mean, Kentucky goes to Georgia. I mean, there'll be a lot of people interested in that game. A lot of Indiana people interested in that game.
Just a shot at I think seeing Kentucky possibly lose, but and plus then you add in the Tom Crean element. It's kind of, he didn't do bad. What was he? He was 2-3 or 2-3 or 1-3, whatever it was against Kentucky. He had a winning record against Kentucky here, I think.
Did he?
At Indiana, I think. That's not true, I guess, because they were playing they were playing regularly up through his time, so that could not be possible. But Indiana did win the 2 out of the last 3 they played, so that's a positive spin you can put on it.
It's about the only one,
if there's that. But and a lot of people have talked about Indiana in the rankings. Indiana will not be ranked this entire season. I said that a while back, and I'll say it again. Indiana will not see the rankings this year, is my prediction. Not good or bad. I'm just saying as far as that. So I'd forget about that. They just need to focus on getting in a position to get an NCAA tournament bid. They need to win the games that they're supposed to win the games that they need to win, and then maybe try to steal one somewhere. But they just have to take care of business because it's a
So when you say win the games they're supposed to win, like what games are there any road games you would include with that?
You're going to have to let me pull the schedule up.
At Rutgers and at Nebraska. That's the next 2 on the road.
Okay,
at
those
Rutgers
are not supposed. They will not. That's not a supposed to win to me because they will not be the favorite in those games.
You don't think they'll be the favorite against Nebraska?
At Nebraska?
Yeah.
This Indiana team?
Yes.
No.
Remember, Nebraska was supposed to go 0-20?
Uh-huh. And then I remember they took Indiana to overtime and then promptly beat Purdue the next game. Okay. I'm not sure where they are right now. I'm just saying, as with that information, until we get closer, no, I don't know that I'll see Indiana as the favorite there. I mean, this is a team I just saw.
Asking your opinion. You don't have to get.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying
about it. I'm literally.
I'm not offensive about it. And it's a team that I just saw lose by that was down by nearly 30 points to a team.
Let's talk about that for a minute because I have heard. I watched social media yesterday. I saw Tom Brew's article. And I can't wait to have him on later in the week, although they'll have played another game by the time that comes around. But him writing an article that Indiana wasn't even competitive and got blown out in that game is so inaccurate, because with 14 minutes to go in the game, Indiana was down by 3 and led a good portion of the first half. And so how could you say, like, here's the real incredible part. Think about them being down by 3 with 14 minutes to go, and with about 6 minutes to go, they were down by 30. That's incredible. Like, that's really hard to do against really, really terrible teams. So that part of it is incredible. But for more than half of the game, Indiana was more than in it and was within, a possession of taking the lead in the game. So I just don't understand how, yes, nobody was, you watched the game with me. Nobody gets more frustrated when they get down by 30. It doesn't even make, this team is way too talented to ever put themselves in that position. But how do people only remember of that game being down by 30? Because yesterday, that's all anybody wrote about. Everyone wrote about they got blown out. And those people didn't watch the same game I watched, because with 14 minutes to go, they had the ball 2 different times and had an opportunity to take the lead. So I don't understand why everybody is looking at that. There was a lot of good things that happened in the beginning of that game. They fed the ball inside as well as they have in any game so far.
That's perfect timing. We got to get out.
Perfect. Attaboy, Jake.
We got lots more to talk about, though. We'll pick up on that conversation as soon as we come back. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Coy O'Leary. We got lots more coming up here. Chronic Hoosier's going to join us as well. Stay tuned. We're back with all that. The Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. and I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Coyle O'Leary here on this Tuesday in January. Doesn't feel too terribly January out there, but I'll take it, man. What do you think?
No, I'm loving it. I'm scared to see what February is going to look like.
Yeah,
whenever we get mild Januaries like this, February and March end up being nasty.
Yeah, let's hope not. But that is
hoping.
Definitely a possibility. No doubt about that. How about the Pacers, man? They keep on winning. They knocked off Cody Zeller and Charlotte last night.
Not familiar. Wasn't watching.
115-104.
Wasn't watching.
115-104.
There's some good Big Ten games tonight. Ohio State at Maryland. That'll be a good one.
Yeah. Are we going to see the team, Ohio State, that we've been seeing prior to these last couple losses? You're going to see the Maryland team that we saw against Indiana, but we've also seen Maryland not play well at home. You never know which team is going to show up for what program.
Yeah, we just don't accept it as Indiana fans. But I mean, this is happening all over the country right now. I mean, teams are winning games that you don't think they have any chance of winning, and then they're losing games that you think that they should easily win. And it's crazy. Like it's a different year. I think we say this all the time, but this year it's different than normal. Like there is so much more opportunity. You know, I know you said it earlier on that you thought for sure Ohio State was the class of the Big Ten, and that, you know, they would have less than 5 losses to win the Big Ten.
4 to 5.
And yeah, and I agree with you with that. But
I don't know that's the case now.
I don't know that that's the case anymore. Right? And
it's been so long ago. How long has it been? That's been at least a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's nuts. I think you got to watch out, and we all know this. Michigan State, they're well coached. This is what they do. They make their mistakes early. They take their lumps early, but then Tom Izzo goes into his mad scientist mode and then starts creating this team, and then they start gelling, and then they start playing better together, and exactly what's happening. But we saw that last year. We saw an Indiana team go up there and win. So.
Yeah, I mean, look at Ohio State right now. They were number 1 in the country 2 weeks ago, and now they've already lost 2 in a row, and now they go at Maryland, at Indiana this week. I mean, they were already probably looking at this week as a tough week, and then they lost 2 games in a row leading into it. So they could very easily lose 4 games in a row. Like, I don't think they will. I think they'll beat Maryland tonight. Maryland's just not very good.
Roger in Evansville wants to know, did Knight give you the green light?
People are always surprised to hear this, but almost everyone on our team had the green light. I mean, some were different shades of green than others. Calvert's shade of green was much darker than the rest of us,
right?
And Damon's was darker than the rest of us. But as long as the shot, so I mean, if you understood our offense, people always think that, you know, we had a 4-pass rule, because I think Coach Knight probably said that in a press conference here and there, and so everybody just always thought it was the law, but it wasn't. Like, it was. You know, here's where that would come into play. And this is where you talked about leadership earlier. And this is where this is where something like that would come about without a coach even having to say anything is if you came down the floor and shot the ball off of 1 or 2 passes, you know, let's say 2 possessions in a row, and neither one of them went in. And you came down on that 3rd possession, I think everybody, without even having to say anything, would just kind of recognize and understand, okay, we got to work the ball around a little bit, even if we don't end up getting a better shot than what we've got right now. You can't jack a 3rd possession in a row up after 1 pass. And if you do, but you know what resets that every time is the ball going in. So, you know, if you come down off of 1 pass and shoot it and miss it, and then come down the next time off of 1 pass and shoot it and make it, you could do it again on the 3rd possession. I mean, Coach Knight was much more lenient than people think when it comes to that. And here's why. this is what people don't take into account, is it's difficult. Teams are good. Defenses are good. Players are good. And it's difficult to get an open shot. It's not the easiest thing in the world. And so if in transition or secondary transition is what we would call it a lot of times, if during that you're able to get an open shot, guys, everybody was allowed to take it, no matter who it was. And it didn't matter if it was, Chris Reynolds or Jamal Meeks even. I mean, you were allowed to take that shot. And so, I had a green light just like everybody else did.
Jay says the frustration comes from seeing those flashes of talent not growing. Tim wants to know, this one, I can answer this one for you, but I'm going to let you. It says, Miller says Jackson Davis will get a lot of attention in the Big Ten. How will he adjust? It's a good question because he's going to have to make adjustments. The better his season continues to go, the more attention he's going to get, the more defensive schemes he's going to see, the more double downs he's probably going to see. He's going to have to get good at finding guys with the ball too, if they can find him.
Yeah, I mean, let's not be idiots here. I mean, everybody, other teams are allowed to scheme and game plan as well. And as Indiana fans, we always claim that we know basketball better than everybody else does. Well, if you're scheming for Indiana right now, I'd probably pretty much assume Trace Jackson Davis would be the number one person you're going to talk about and try to take away. And so, it's going to be more difficult for him. We said this all along from the Western Illinois game, the first game of the year, in that once you get to the Big Ten, it's going to be different for him than what it is in those ball games. Guys are just bigger and more physical. I think he's learning that as we're going. I mean, I said it yesterday, and I said it in our post-game show right after the game Saturday, that, that's the first game I really felt like Trace Jackson Davis played like a freshman. And he got sped up. He had 2 travel calls that I can't even remember one travel call he's had throughout the season, let alone 2 in a game. And they got him going. He missed 2 jump hooks in the middle of the lane. That's his bread and butter shot that he usually goes to. So, I just think he was taken out of his element a little bit and sped up. And
well, he was. And the thing that he's got to learn is and that's not going to be the last time that happens. And he's got to learn to be able to bounce back and fight through that, because that's what he didn't get. It just seemed like he was frustrated. The team was frustrated, but it's like, man, you got to fight and scratch and get back to that point where you were.
And here's what makes that easier, and here's what didn't happen in the game, is if somebody else gets something going, like let's say, for example, if Devontae starts making some shots, or if Al Durham starts making some shots, or, Finney and guys start doing some other things, then they all of a sudden have to, change their focus and go start, focusing on those other guys. And so, it's just a situation where, as long as Indiana is struggling from the outside and teams are not having to respect them from out there, it's going to be that much more difficult on Trace Jackson Davis. Look, no one should root for guys to make outside shots any more than him, because it'll only make his life easier.
Absolutely. Tim said, I think I would put red lights on all our perimeter players right now.
Yeah, we've talked already about confidence is a big issue. And putting red lights on guys does not help build confidence.
No, you've got to build it, and it's got to move forward, and it's got to grow. And because if not, I'm telling you, we've seen how quickly a season can take a turn. We saw it last year. It went down that rabbit hole, and they couldn't get back. But it can also turn the opposite way too. You can get on a heater and just start riding the streak and feel good, and that comes from what you've been talking about, confidence. If you don't feel good about yourself, it's hard to make others feel good. And if you're not making others feel good and they're not feeling good, then you just got a mess.
Yep, and they've got a little bit of success. It grows so fast. It helps build that confidence, and all of that starts to manifest in other areas, and it just but it's also just what you said a minute ago. It's also the opposite of that. I mean, when you start getting frustrated and losing confidence, that grows pretty quickly too. And so it's just a difficult. I heard Archie Miller say something the other day that it was a different way than I've heard it said in the past. But every team throughout the season goes through some struggles and goes through. We always talk about it with Michigan State. They usually start the year out struggling and gradually get better throughout the year. But even the teams that start out really good, Michigan's a great example. I mean, Michigan was on fire, beating everybody in the country. And then all of a sudden, they hit a little bit of a bump. There are several bumps in the road, and they've struggled recently. And Archie Miller said, your teams change throughout the year. I heard him say that in the post-game press conference the other day, that your team changes throughout the year, a couple of different times. And that's just a different way, I think, of saying it goes through these growing pains and struggles and that stuff. And, Indiana has seemed to have a tough time fighting their way out of that. I mean, we've all documented last year, what was it, a 12-game losing streak that Indiana had last year. I mean, that's a little bit longer than just a struggle. I mean, that's a whole month of losing. And so, they just got to make sure something like that doesn't happen. I mean, and I don't think that it will. I think this team is I think this team has a far higher ceiling than what last year's team had.
I agree, but they have a higher ceiling because I think they have a much better capability of playing together as a team, and we've seen them what they can do when they play as a team. We saw them against UConn, we saw them against Florida State, and that took a collaborative effort. That was good shooting, good interior play, and they just seem to have forgotten how that stuff works. And it's like they kind of panic when one thing's not working. They don't look for the other. They just kind of keep forcing things a little bit.
Yeah, and you're right. You're exactly right. I mean, they have definitely had some struggles. And the Florida State win is all of a sudden looking a lot better than it did back when they had it. I think Florida State was ranked 17th or something. Now they're all the way up to 10th. That's Indiana fans should root for Florida State all year long because that win just continues to get stronger and stronger. But I mean, they've got an unbelievable opportunity this week. I mean, this is what did I say? What did we say Ohio State went down to? I mean, they've got a top 10 team coming into Assembly Hall this weekend, or 11. Ohio State's 11 right now, so they've got a top 11 team coming in to Assembly Hall on Saturday, and that's a game that. That they should win that game. I know Ohio State's ranked high, got a bunch of veteran players on it, and it'll be a battle. It's not, I don't see that being a game that Indiana comes out and dominates and plays, from the lead the entire game. I think people should expect that to be a really tight game back and forth. And if it's not, I don't think it's going to be in Indiana's favor.
I'm going to give you the chance to do it, but at the end of the show today, in the last segment, we're going to do our Big Ten power rankings from the bottom up. I'm quite certain there's going to be a couple of differences there, but gives you some time to put that together.
You mean ranking where I think teams will finish, or where they are right now?
Right now.
Okay.
Where they are right now.
Okay.
That'll be our own little deal. But we've got Chronic Hoosiers going to join us next, so we can see what the Chronic's up to, man. And then when we come back after that, we'll do our Big Ten power rankings. What do you think about that?
I like it. I'm excited.
All right. Well, we got all that coming up, man, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat with Coy and Larry. We're back with Chronic Hoosier right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dawkins.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Tuesday, January 7th. It's my dad's birthday, Chronic. Joined now by Chronic Hoosier, one of our favorites.
Happy birthday, Papa Coy.
How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well, man. Glad to be back here in B-Town. Holidays behind us, settling back into the heart of winter, if you will, here in Bloomington. Looking forward to it. Still stinging a little bit. From the close of the new year, the way that things wound out, it was kind of a rough week for both football and the basketball program, with a couple opportunities in front of them that unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize on.
Yeah, the Taxter Gator Bowl, man, what a daggone disappointment! Just because of the absolute tremendous opportunity that laid right there in the grasp, and I said it down there that man, unfortunately, Indiana snatched defeat from the jaws of victory in that deal, because that was one that was right there for the taking. But a lot of people are going to talk about the great season, and congratulations, it was. But boy, sure left it on the table there, Chronic.
It's tough. It is really, really tough to see a 13-point lead, late in the fourth quarter, when seemingly they had that one in the bag. It's really easy. We were kind of talking a little bit before we started rolling here. It's really easy to focus on the onside kick, and I do continue to think that was almost an unconscionable oversight on the part of the staff, and I think that one rests squarely with them. Obviously, it's not the players' responsibility to line up in a formation that prevents against that. Obviously, Tennessee had spotted that on film previously. The one thing Tennessee had not seen on film was in such a critical situation, I guess, if you will, where Indiana had the lead, had that type of clock in their favor, and just omitted to put themselves in a position to at least cover that vulnerability on the field. It's just really, really tough. I think the entire team, or at least the entire coaching staff, would probably agree that was a tough one to swallow. It was a tough one to let slip just through an oversight in alignment. That being said, though, too, we continue to see issues with the kicking game, and obviously, what was that final one, the 52-yarder, whatever it was, that just sailed a little bit right. That's tough to put the game on that. But you go back to that extra point, the missed PAT, and just a host of issues. The number of times you saw balls bounce off cornerbacks' hands. In addition to the pick six, I think there were a couple other opportunities there in the fourth where Indiana could have capitalized, could have seized the opportunity in front of them and put that one away. Unfortunately, it wasn't meant to be, and the ugliest color in all of football escaped with the victory in the bowl trophy. And it's a tough season. Like I said, I'm still a little stung by it just because it was so attainable. I don't think that diminishes what they accomplished throughout the season. If there's any silver lining to it, hopefully it gives every single member of that program who's returning for next year a little extra fuel in their fire to really become the best team that they can be next season. Because there's certainly a whole lot of talent coming back, a whole lot for Indiana fans to look forward to in the coming years.
Yeah, and with that thought in mind, they have an offensive coordinator position that needs to be filled, and I think it's going to be one that's a very popular position because of the talent you mentioned and because of what they have coming back. There's a lot of people that would like to have that job.
You'd have to imagine so. I mean, it's, obviously it's a Power 5, one of the perennial, you can make the argument you would get to compete in the toughest conference in college football, in the toughest division in college football, I should say, with just a host, just an absolute slew of talent coming back, a lot of great young talent in the pipeline right now, down the depth chart. So it certainly would appear to be something that would be very, very attractive to a prospective coach. Obviously, you look at what Kalen DeBoer was able to accomplish in his one season here, and where that led him, being promoted to head coach now. I would have no problem if that's what Indiana's coordinators became, a stepping stone to bigger jobs, to head coaching jobs around the country. It's always nice when you see coaches getting elevated upwards, as opposed to taking lateral moves or even stepping down when they leave the program. That just tells you that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. And, this time around, Tom Allen's going to have a little extra coin in his pocket, in order to entice the next OC with the additional commitment, that Fred Glass was able to give him when he re-signed his new contract. So be real curious to see kind of how that split works, even more curious to see exactly who ends up being the recipient of those bigger new paychecks. But more than anything, too, I think it's probably about time that we hear sooner than later, simply so they can get the off-season training in place, get everybody on the same page, and get the minds all together as far as what next season's offense is going to look like and how they're going to find themselves back in the situation to win, hopefully, another ninth game.
Absolutely. The women's basketball team, they certainly have things continuing to go their way as they were back in action last night at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall Chronic, and they didn't just win. They won big. They were twice as good as Illinois, 83-42 in a game that was just really never close. Indiana was pretty consistent, scoring 22 points almost each quarter until the fourth quarter. They slacked off a little bit, but, man, they continue to let it roll.
It is unbelievable what the women are achieving this season. They've once again regained the 12th rank, which is tied for the highest in program history. Previously set earlier this season, I believe 10 consecutive seasons ranked in the top 20, or 10 consecutive weeks ranked in the top 25. They are absolutely clicking. It's we've said this numerous times, and it bears repeating. They're just playing a beautiful brand of basketball right now. It's certainly something the men could emulate from. It starts on defense. It goes for 40 minutes. It's unrelenting. It goes the entire length of the floor. Just tremendous commitment from Coach Moore and squad, and playing the game on both ends of the floor. Just great communication. Offensively, they move the ball extremely well. You got a host of players, 1 through 5, who can score in a variety of ways. And I think what stands out to me right now more than anything is just the leadership that this team has. You look down the bench, transfers who have absolutely stepped up and had a huge impact. Allie Pat Berg and Brianna Wise. But you look at Jalen Penn, you look at Grace Berger, Alexa. There are just so many leaders on that floor. And honestly, that's, you talk about this amorphous thing of leadership. It's what they do. It's making the extra pass. It's digging down a little deeper defensively. Running the screens hard, screening hard. They just do so many things incredibly well. And it's a tremendous credit to what Coach Moore and her staff have been able to assemble as far as finding the girls who want to play the game the way that staff wants it played. And make no mistake, they want to beat you on both ends of the floor. And you see a game like last night, they're up over 40 points, and they are still digging in every defensive set to the final whistle. Tip your cap to them, because it's everything you want to see in a basketball team, and then some. It's just tremendous season. If people haven't had a chance to get out there, go check it out, because I don't think we're anywhere close to where the ceiling is for these women. I think they've got a long season in store for them. They only seem to be getting better as the year winds on, as conference season starts up now. The only remaining undefeated team in the Big Ten.
Yep, sitting here 3-0, 13-2 on the season. So, and up next, the Purdue Boilermakers, Thursday, 7 o'clock, Simon Scott, Assembly Hall. So go out and support them on that game. The men, on the men's side, they're back in action in Simon Scott Assembly Hall tomorrow night, Chronic, as they get back to Big Ten play, taking on Northwestern in a game that hopefully is an elixir for them, as they are in need of that.
I'll tell you what, this is probably the best time, at least I can think of. They're going to get a little bit of a respite here this week with Northwestern, and don't make no mistake, I don't think you can look at any game in the Big Ten as a gimme right now. Just absolutely brutal league so far. But get Rutgers, Nebraska, and Northwestern here in the 3 of the next 4 games, with Ohio State sandwiched in between this Saturday. And this ain't your daddy's Rutgers anymore either. But looking at Northwestern, looking at Nebraska, Indiana's got to find a way to find success again right now. They have really been struggling. Kind of the opposite of what we're seeing from the women's team right now. They've really struggled here as of late to find their identity defensively. You saw it in the second half of the Arkansas game, where once they'd established a little bit of a lead, just kind of got away from everything that got them there on both sides of the ball. And it just really the culmination of that, particularly in the second half of the Maryland game. Just zero commitment to defending the way that Archie wants to see him play the game. Absolutely struggling to find the ball, get in the basket right now. And I think, for this team, it really starts with the guards. They have got to make a statement. They've got to make an impact defensively, stopping the ball at the point of attack. And offensively, they got to do just that. They've got to find a way to attack the basket, whether it's off the dribble, whether it's finding cutters, dump offs. They've got to find a way to break defenses down, because right now they're entirely too one-dimensional with their intentions of getting the ball down low and letting the post players do all the scoring. So I'm not exactly sure that there's going to be a magic bullet that makes it all better, but I'll tell you one thing, winning always helps. And it's probably as good of an opportunity as they're going to see this conference season. The only time they're going to see Northwestern here this season. They need to find a way to get a win in the, on the scoreboard here, because it's only going to get more difficult once you get through that stretch. You get to see Michigan State again, Maryland, Penn State, Ohio State, Purdue, Iowa, Michigan, Minnesota, back to Penn State, Purdue. It's just absolutely brutal to close. And this is the time of the year, we saw it last season. You cannot let things spiral out on you. For a young team like Indiana has experience-wise, they've got to start building some confidence, because as you've seen, things can snowball on you real quickly in this conference. And that dejection, that complacency in losing can start to pile up really quick. So I'm looking at the coming month as tremendous opportunity, but there's also some tremendous risk for Archie's Hoosiers, that they got to find a way to stem the tide right now, because otherwise this season could get real ugly real quick on them.
Absolutely. Hopefully it don't have reached that point that they reached about this time last year. Hopefully it goes in a different direction. But we'll certainly find out, man. Chronic, I can't thank you enough.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Jim. Have a great morning.
You betcha. There's Chronic Hoosier joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville.
Bad theater seats, cheap Halloween masks, my apartment, all things with obstructed views. Add to these large trucks and buses. 18-wheelers and large buses have big blind spots, and like my apartment, they don't always have the best view. Bus and truck drivers deal with blind spots around the entire vehicle. Always take care not to ride alongside or too close behind them. Our roads, our safety. Learn more at sharetheroadsafely.gov.
This is former Indiana basketball player Brian Evans, and you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Yep, even flow. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary here on this Tuesday. Happy birthday, Dad. January 7th. A lot of birthdays today, I noticed. It's not mine, but a lot of those. Not yours, Todd.
Not mine either. Nope.
Not Jake's either. But we're going to act like it's our birthday anyway. We talked about a lot of things today. The AP Top 10 comes out, or it came out. We talked about that. But want to put together our own.
I'm excited to hear your power ranking. I can't wait.
Want to put together
I have mine written down. So,
well, won't you let me tell the folks what we're doing?
I'm
going to put together our own Big Ten power rankings. So we're going to start it. You want to start at the bottom and go up, or the top and go down?
Yes, the bottom.
Number 14 spot for me is Northwestern. They said it.
Easy.
They're 0-3 and 5-8 overall in the season. Things just not going Man, Chris Collins had that program kind of seeming like it was going in the right direction. And then, we talked about this yesterday. It's a difficult place to recruit.
Yep.
I mean, the kids sit there, they're all smarter than whips, man.
Right.
It's just, it is tough. But so's Duke. And there are others. So's Vanderbilt. And obviously Vanderbilt suffers the same thing. But, it's a tough place to get that job done.
Yep, no doubt. And they're always they'll have years where they have, some guys develop and get better and play well together. But they're never going to be a powerhouse. They can't from a recruiting standpoint.
My next one, so we're the same on that one.
Yep,
I assume.
Yep.
My next one, I fought back and forth. I didn't know, but I went with Minnesota. I think it could be flip flopped with Nebraska, but anyway, I got Minnesota there. They're 2-2 on the season, 8-6 overall. Just not sure. They're going to be someone but even Minnesota is going to be someone that you have to be careful when you go to Minnesota and play. But I think that they're in the 13th spot for me.
Yeah, I got Nebraska at 13 for me.
Yeah, the only reason I did, that's the team I would have had them flip flopped. I thought that I gave them credit for a nice win. I don't know. I think that
I don't even have them in the next spot.
Who, Minnesota? Yep. So Nebraska is number 12 for me.
Yeah. Number 12 for me, I've got Rutgers.
And then, Rutgers to me has got a nice win, so I'm giving them credit for that. And I've got Purdue in the 11th spot. Purdue looked horrible against Illinois, and they're not trending up at all.
Yeah, and I got Minnesota in the 11th spot, but then these bottom 5 and 6 are.
Well, the bottom 4, I think, are just almost interchangeable, with the exception of Northwestern. Those next 3, I think you can just throw them in a barrel and roll them around.
Well, I got Purdue in that 10th spot too, so I think Rutgers, Minnesota, and Purdue, you could put all of them together. I think Northwestern and Nebraska will finish in the bottom 2.
I haven't gotten to Rutgers yet.
I got you. I'm just saying what I got.
So we going straight for the number 10 spot?
Yep, number 10 spot. I got Purdue.
You got Purdue. I've got Indiana. Indiana sitting in the number 10 spot. They're at 1-2 right now in the conference, 11-3 overall. I didn't know whether to swap them with Iowa, maybe, who I have in that next spot. They're very, very similar, and I think they could swap them, but that's where, because of this how they have looked, I've got them in the number 10 spot.
Yeah, we're not even remotely close on that one.
Well, that's good. You already said you have Purdue in the number 10 spot.
I do.
Yeah, I've got Purdue in the 11th spot, so I've already got them behind Indiana there. Number 9, then. Who do you got in the number 9 spot?
Illinois.
Illinois is a good spot. I've got Iowa, very, very similar team. Illinois just coming off of a little bit better win for me. I got them in number 8 spot. Is what they did to Purdue defensively, just completely shut them down.
I've got Illinois as a team that's probably going to win the majority of their games at home. But I don't really see them going on the road and beating anybody.
Until they show it.
And I think that they'll, I don't think that they're outstanding. So I think, Michigan State and Ohio State and I think Indiana will even have a chance to go into Illinois and win. So I don't think they'll win all their home games, but I think they'll win the majority of them.
That puts us at number 7. That's where things are going to get different. I'm assuming it's where you got Indiana.
Who was number 8? Who was number 8?
Well, for me, I've got the Illini. That's why I have Illinois. I have Illinois and then Iowa, and you could flip-flop those but I think Illinois is just playing a little better than Iowa right now. And so that's why I put them in that spot.
Yeah, at 9 I had Illinois, and at 8 I have Wisconsin. I've got Wisconsin down there, even though they've got a great win at Ohio State. They've got a really bad loss at Rutgers.
To me, that's not a bad loss though, because Rutgers is 11-3 on the season and 2-1 in the conference right now.
I'm just saying, I think in the Big Ten, I think there will be some teams. The teams that finish in the top 4 will go into Rutgers and win. I think Michigan State will go in there and win. I think Ohio State will go in there and win. I think Michigan will go in there. I think there'll be some teams that go in there and win. And that loss is the big win at Ohio State is almost it's diminished just a tiny bit because if you're going to finish in the top 5 in the Big Ten, you've got to win that game at Rutgers.
Right. I don't have them in the top 5, so
no, I got you.
And the 7th spot is where I have Rutgers. I have Rutgers in the 7th spot.
I have Iowa. I have Iowa in the 7th spot. Iowa has an ability to shoot the ball, so they're going to have nights like I think they're a team that could go into a Michigan State and win. They could go into Ohio State and win because their ability to shoot the ball.
I've got Wisconsin in the 6th spot, a team that is trending upward. They did not start the season off well, but that's not really matter. It doesn't really matter. It's where you finish, and they're trending upwards. They're playing better. They're getting better wins. So I currently have them in the number 6 spot, even though they're 2-1 in the conference, 9-5 overall.
Yeah, I've got Maryland in 6th spot. Maybe surprisingly, but I mean, I don't think they're very good. I mean, I don't think they're as good a team. They're really going to struggle on the road, and they really, really struggle to score the basketball. So I mean, I know Indiana does too, but I think Indiana even has more consistent scoring than Maryland does. So I got Maryland at number 6.
So now we're sitting to the top 5, and my 5th place team is Michigan. They're 1-2 in the conference right now, but 10-4 overall. We've seen what they can do. They've got some pretty good wins. It's not that they can't be beaten because they obviously have been, but I think that they're a pretty good team that they'll continue to get it figured out as we go through conference play.
Yeah, I've got Penn State at my 5th spot. Penn State's got 2 good wins. They've already beat Iowa and Maryland. That's 2 good wins for them. I think they're going to be a really, really difficult team to beat when you go to Penn State. I think Michigan State probably will, and I think Penn State might be the only other team that wins all their home games. And I think that's possible. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think they have a good chance at winning all of their home games.
I agree. I've got Penn State at number 4, currently 2-1 in the conference play, 12-2 overall. They're a legit team this year, looking to make the NCAA tournament, and I think that they get that job done. So I've got them at number 4. My number 3. Now we're in the top 3. Who was your number 4?
My number 4 is Indiana.
Okay. You got the Hoosiers at number 4. So. You got them higher than Penn State, higher than Michigan.
I do.
Yeah, that's probably the only where we differ on that. I've got Maryland at number 3, 2-1 right now in the conference. We saw what they did against Indiana, 12-2 overall. They certainly have their deficiencies, and they're going to take their losses this year. But right now, I've got them in the number 3 spot.
Maryland?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got Michigan at number 3. And that's really the one I would say. I mean, I know you're going to say that my Indiana one is being a homer, and I got them rated way too high. If I have anybody rated way too high, it's probably Michigan, because I think Michigan, one, they're dealing with a big injury right now. Isaiah Livers has not played the last couple of games. Who knows how long that injury lasts? But he's their best player by far, and if he can't play, I'll bump them all the way down to like 8 or 9. If he can't continue to play throughout the season. So, but Michigan has shown the ability. I mean, when you can beat Gonzaga, I think Gonzaga is far and away the most talented team in the country. And when you can beat them, I think you've obviously got the ability to beat anybody. So, but they went on the road to Michigan State and just got manhandled. But like I said, that was without their best player.
Yeah, and up at the top, I've got Michigan State at the top, Ohio State in second.
Yeah, me too.
And I basically have just flip-flopped what I had. Ohio State was the team that looked like they were going to be the team to run away with it, but as we quickly saw, and nobody's running away with anything. But Michigan State, to me, right now, playing the best team basketball. They're the only team that's undefeated in the Big Ten play. They're 4-0. So they've got a great start. And, of course, they got Tom Izzo, and this is what they do. Michigan State, they may not start off rough, but they play a rough schedule. He usually gets them around and gets them together. They had a lot of stuff they were going through. We've talked about they lost Joshua Langford, and then, of course, the guard, Cassius Winston, has had to go through some stuff personally, and it's like that they're kind of getting that stuff back together. And, yeah, it's always dangerous to have a well-coached Tom Izzo team.
Yep, no doubt. I mean, they they've got the best guard in the conference, without a doubt, maybe the best guard in the country. So, and when I say that, please understand that from a college basketball perspective, I don't think he has the most ability to go to the NBA from a guard's perspective, but I think he's the best college basketball guard that there is. And, anybody coached by Tom Izzo with that kind of guard is always going to have a chance. Now, I will say they've got their struggles, but they have set themselves aside. I mean, we've got Ohio State listed as number 2, and they're 1-2 right now. We're going to know a lot about what Ohio State's season is going to be like in the next 10 days because, they play at Maryland tonight. They come to Indiana on Saturday. And if they lose both of those games, they're 1-4 in the Big Ten. And it's very possible they lose both of those games. They're also talented enough to win both of those games. And if they win both of those games, I'll probably bump them back in front of Michigan State.
The biggest difference for us here was, of course, Indiana. You've got them at number 4. I've got them at number 10. I will say this in my top 10, from number 6 through 10, you could almost flip flop any of those teams. They're that close. I think I just penalized Indiana for their most recent loss more than most, but you can move them anywhere there. But my top 5, I think, is I'm pretty solid with that. I don't see Indiana in that top 5, but not saying that they can't get there. Just today, I just absolutely don't, with the problems that they have to fix in both shooting and getting their offense back to running to where it's efficiently running and doing the things they need to do, getting the ball inside, getting the ball to their top player in Trace Jackson-Davis on a consistent basis, and getting back to the free throw line, and then more importantly, hitting those free throws. Until they're doing that, I can't see them in the top 4 of this league.
Yeah, I mean, so you say that. I mean, your comment about them being based on their last loss, is that because of how they lost it? Is that what you're saying?
That's part of it. Certainly part of it. Absolutely. You can't ignore it. There's no way you can ignore it.
We both agreed going into that game. I mean, we talked about this 3 weeks ago when we were making predictions of games that they would win and lose. We both predicted them to lose that game.
Oh, absolutely.
So
losing the game is not the penalization. It was an ugly. It was another ugly loss.
I mean, I think they played bad for about an 8-minute stretch. Other than that, I didn't think they played that bad. I mean, when you go on the road, you got to put yourself in a position to win. And with 14 minutes to go in the game, they were down by 3.
How great of a team is Maryland? They're just okay, right?
At home, they're just okay. At home, they're decent.
Okay.
Other than that, they're just okay.
They were down.
But you can say that about every team in the Big Ten.
Wait a minute, I know, but they were down 30 points to a team that's okay.
Yeah, I played on a team that went to the Sweet 16 that lost by 50 to Minnesota.
How does that?
So because
how did that happen?
Because once it's above 15, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's 16 or 60. It doesn't make a difference. You're not in the game either way. A 15-point loss is an ass beating. Like, I'm going to tell you right now, people get carried away with whether it's 30 or whether it's an 18-point defeat. It's not. You're no more in the game down 18. With 10 minutes to go, you're no more in the game down 18 than you are down 40. That's how bad you're getting beat.
No doubt. No disagreement.
So, I mean, that 30-point loss, to me, it's like a 10-point loss. It's no different. They were within 3 points and had the ball twice with 14 minutes to go to take the lead. If they make any of those baskets. Now, they didn't. I know I'm playing the what-if game, and I'm giving the benefit of the doubt. I'm just saying, so now that we've done this, now I would like to take you through each one of these, and we don't have time to do it today, but we can set this up for doing it, later in the week. But I'd like to take you through those teams that are 6 through 10, and I'd like to go through, players 1 through 5 or 1 through 7, and go through that, and you go through, the Iowa players 1 through 7, and try to convince me that you think they're better than Indiana.
I don't think it. I'm not saying they're better than, but Indiana's not better than either.
No, I agree. I disagree. I think they are.
Okay.
I mean, from a talent perspective, I don't think that there's. That's why I'm telling you, Indiana's ceiling is way higher than those other teams that you have 6 through 10.
If you take all the factors into consideration.
I said ceiling.
Right.
I'm saying take every factor into consideration. You take what they are capable of. And
where do you? Let me ask you this:
ceiling is way higher.
Let me ask you this: where do you legitimately think Indiana is going to finish the Big Ten season?
I just told you. This is not what we were doing.
No,
I think they'll finish.
This is power rankings for today.
Fourth or fifth in the Big Ten.
Okay, so this is your future.
This is where I think all these teams stand right now. And
okay, so it is today. So it is today. Yeah, this is not where I think they're going to finish. This is where we are today. I can't predict where we're going to finish for a long time because we have to see what's going to happen. I don't know.
Well, then you're not predicting it if you're going to see what's going to happen.
Well, that's why this is called a power ranking. This was a power ranking. This is where these teams are right now, where I think these teams are right now today. That's how I rank those teams.
But when you're saying that, you're saying because otherwise you would just take their standings in the Big Ten.
No, that's what their standing are. This is what I think they are. This is where I think these teams are top to bottom in the Big Ten right now. This is because if you look at standings, Michigan is way at the bottom. They're at second to last. I think Ohio State is at the bottom as well. So that's not.
It was just odd how some of these teams you go by how they're trending. So you were saying, I can't remember who it was you were saying was trending way up. So somebody was trending way up.
It's the same for every one of them. This is where I think every one of these teams are right now.
But what I'm saying is you were using trending as something on one of them, but you had Michigan ranked way high.
Jake, you got to help me out here, man. Can you get the translation book out? I'm confused. This is where they are right now. And trending is a part of that. Is where you are right now because trending is in the now.
I understand that, Jim. What I'm saying to you is you're using that for some of the teams and not for the others. Because if you're going to use that, you can't put Michigan up there where you have Michigan because they're trending way down.
But I don't think Michigan is down though. I don't think that they may have lost a game, but I don't think that they're down in say 12th, which is where their record would put them, I believe.
Okay.
It is basically where I think that I'm kind of confused on this is where I see these teams right now. That's what a power rankings are. That's where the people see them at the moment. And this is where I see them at the moment.
Okay. And this
no matter how and no matter what terminology I use and no matter how I choose to get there, this is where I see these teams right now.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Maybe I analyzed it differently than you.
Well,
did.
I think so because I think that you're looking at where you think they're going to finish, and that makes complete sense because that's I did not look at it that way. I'm not saying that this is where these teams are going to finish, but this is where I think that they are right now. How they're playing right now, and it has nothing to do with the record, like I said, because you can look at the Big Ten records, and it is not going to coincide with my list. Some will. I mean, Michigan State's at the top, of course, but not all. Ohio State and Michigan both way down as far as if you compare the record. But this is where I think that they are at the moment. It could stay this way, or it could change. I mean, I definitely think it should change because I don't expect Indiana to finish at 10th, but I think that right now the way they're playing and where they are, that's where I have them this week. Next week that can change. If they win, if they beat Northwestern and Ohio State.
Go through and give me your projections then.
For all 14 teams again?
This is my projected list. Yeah, start at the top then. Start at the top then and just give me your top 6.
For what? To
projections
year end?
And how you think they're going to finish the year in the Big Ten. Who's going to win it all the way down to number 6? Who you got?
We're not deep enough into that to do that, but I'll do it for you. Michigan State, Ohio State, Maryland, Penn State. There's 4. Michigan. That's 5, and so that leaves me one more. Man, I'll give it to Indiana just to give it
exactly. Yeah, that's exactly.
But that's not my true feeling. I'll be honest with you. That's not who I would have.
Then why would you say it?
Just because it's going to make this easier. I just right now, if you had to, no, I would not put Indiana in that right now. From what I'm seeing right now, that does not mean that they're, like you said, their ceiling is not higher. That they can achieve it. They can't get there. They can, and I'm not saying that they can't. But right now, I don't see them there. I don't see them playing that well.
But then I don't disagree with you. I don't think they're playing anywhere near their potential. But when you look at those other teams that you group in that group of 5 through 11, they easily have the highest ceiling of all of those teams.
If you look at them just from a talent standpoint, yes. But does that, just because the talent is there, does that mean that talent can be extracted? And that's where I disagree, that I'm not sure that the possibility of that talent being extracted is as high as it being extracted other places.
Cool. Only time will tell.
That's it. That's all we can do, man. All we can do. But that's fun. But yeah, we need to start doing this each week and do it for the week that we're in currently. And it'll be interesting to see how it does change from week to week, how things move up and down. Because that's true to life. Life is just ebbs and flows and ups and downs, and it'd be interesting to see how this does move backwards and forwards.
Yeah, but I think the only way you can really kind of keep track of what you think, is make a projection for where you think they're going to finish. And factor everything into it: coaching, players, development, the schedule. The schedule plays a big factor in it. I think there's a lot of different things that go into it, but that's why
here's what we do. Here's what we do next. Come up with that final list, and we do this along the way.
Sure.
We'll come up with the final list. We'll leave it, and it sits out there, and it doesn't change. It'll stay the same. Boom. We'll pick a final list each. We'll do that. I'll work on that today. You work on that, and we'll have the final list.
I already gave you mine.
Okay,
mine will be easy to do.
Say, okay, so does your week-to-week power list not change?
Or
does it stay the same as your end list?
It could definitely change, because if Ohio State could go 4-0 in their next couple of weeks, I'd put them above Michigan State.
Right. Well, that's what we're going to be doing, is a weekly power rankings.
I got you.
And that will probably most likely change, but we'll have the end list to compare it to at the end of the deal. But that's going to pretty much wrap it up for us today, man. We appreciate everybody joining us. As always, Chronic Hoosier was on the program. We appreciate him as always as well. Plenty to get to. We're back at it again tomorrow. We'll catch back up with Matt Weaver and kind of close out the football season and see what's going on with there as far as recruiting and any bits of good news that came out. That we know there's some holes that's got to be filled. Of course, the offensive coordinator is going to be a critical position, but now you have, and we haven't talked about it a whole lot, but the special teams coach is that position is open now as well, as William Minge is leaving to go with Kalen DeBoer out to Fresno State. So there's another coaching spot that needs to be filled as well. And, it's going to be interesting to see how aggressively they go at that stuff, Todd, how aggressively they look to fill that spot on where they're trying to grow. Because we've seen other teams here in Michigan and places like Penn State or whatever that are cutting loose of guys and trying to shore up their coaching. Michigan State, one of those, Mark D'Antonio, has got to find a new offensive coordinator as well. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, all over the country, this is the time of year that happens, and it's. I don't know. I don't think any of us really know. The ins and outs of what Tom Allen is looking at right now. I think he'll have some good candidates and guys to look at, but I also, I wouldn't be totally opposed to them staying in house either. But I'm with you on that though. I'd love to see him get the best person available, but I don't want them to just go hire somebody because they have to.
Absolutely. Tim says he thinks that Indiana gets 22 regular season wins this season. Bill says one of the biggest things missing in conference play to non-conference play is offense and fast break points. We'll see about that. We'll talk about all that tomorrow. But, that's going to wrap it up. Until tomorrow, we got plenty more to talk about then. We'll do it again. For Jake, for Todd Leary, I'm Jim Coyle. I'll see you on the radio.